What is up, everyone? Parox here, and today we're taking a look at the Spähpanzer, the Tier 7 German light tank that is taking place of the Awful Panther coming up in patch 9.9. So I'm going to be comparing this tank to, in my opinion, the best Tier 7 light, the Bulldog, and just seeing how it goes up against the Bulldog, because I think it's a pretty amazing tank. To start off, it has less hit points, and it weighs less. Those are two negatives in my opinion. Less hit points, can't take as many hits obviously, but it weighs 11 tons when fully outfitted, and the Bulldog weighs 26. So you generally don't want to get rammed in the Bulldog anyway, because you're going to lose HP, but with the Spähpanzer, you're going to lose a lot of HP, even if you're just tapped at the beginning of the game. Like, I've lost 10 HP in one of the games that I played just by getting bumped into by one of my teammates. So that's definitely a big con for me. Also, the armor is, it might as well equal 0. Like, cars have better armor than this, seriously. It has 15 millimeters at the front of the turret, and there's pretty much no front of the turret. So you have 10 millimeters of armor everywhere, and look how flat this tank is. Even on the front, that's a pretty flat surface. So shooting HE at this thing is going to go through, and it's possible that it could kill you from higher tier TDs or tanks like the E100, where I believe the roll is 910 for HE ammo. So let's compare it to the Bulldog again with speed and view range. So this tank, the view range 380 meters, that's pretty good. The Bulldog has 400, so 20 meters. That is not a huge difference, but it could be beneficial in some situations. Also, this tank's top speed is 58 kilometers an hour. The Bulldog is 72.4. This tank is significantly slower than the Bulldog is. However, I don't think it matters too much. In the games, when you get it going downhill, it isn't locked at 58. You can exceed that when you're going downhills, but along flat surface, 58 is pretty much the max. It also has worse traverse speed than the Bulldog. Bulldog gets 56 degrees a second, whereas this tank only gets 44. It also gets 44 turret traverse, and the Bulldog gets 50. So the Bulldog, more mobile of a tank so far, but where this thing exceeds the Bulldog, I think, is in the gun. So if we look at both of the guns here, both the auto-loading version and the single-shot version, we can see that the single-shot version has more gun handling. That's how it usually happens. It's like that on the Bulldog too. It has 0.36 dispersion and 2.2 second aim time with the single shotgun, whereas on the auto-loading gun, 0.38 dispersion and 2.4 second aim time. Nothing to really write home about there. I mean, it's not that big of a deal having 0.2 more seconds and 0.02 more dispersion. So, you know, not too bad right there. I think I still prefer the auto-loading gun, mainly because you can get in, deal more damage, and get out quicker. And what I mean by that is, if you look at the rate of fire on the single shotgun, it's 7.59. That's about an 8-second reload, and you can definitely get that down with BIA vents like I have on my tank and more crew skills, but that's a long time for a scout to reload. That means you can poke out once, get a shot, maybe if you're lucky get a second shot if the enemy isn't paying too much attention, but generally you can only do one shot of damage on a tank with the single shotgun, because by then they're going to notice you unless you're camoed up really well. But I think that's a big disadvantage for this tank. Now if we look at the auto-loading gun, it gets 3 shells. That's okay, I guess. I would love it to have 4, but you know what, can't have everything. And it does have 20 seconds to complete the whole drum. The Bulldog has a very long reload. Let's take a look at what it is here. 36 seconds. You do get 10 shells, but 36 seconds is a long time. I like the autoloaders with a low reload for the drum. That way you don't have as much downtime, so you can be active and shooting more. So I don't think this is that bad, actually. 20 seconds for 3 shells that do 240 damage apiece. So you do have 3 seconds in between each shell. That's kind of bad, but it's okay. I played the 5120 a lot. I grinded to my 50B, and you know, at 3.33 is what that tank has, and it's not too bad, so I don't think 3 seconds is that terrible. I think it's a good gun, good stats all around for the autoloader, and I really prefer the autoloader in gameplay, I think. So now also what we're going to do is compare the penetration for the shells on the Spähpanzer and the Bulldog. Now this tank has 180 pen with AP, and the Bulldog has 175, but you have to remember, the Bulldog gets APCR and not AP, which means it travels at a significantly higher rate than the AP ammo does on this tank. And the AP ammo on the Spähpanzer is really, really slow. It feels like it doesn't move. It kind of feels like a KV2 shot almost. But the heat ammo is where the Spähpanzer really has an advantage over the Bulldog. 250 pen for the heat on this tank, and 210 on the Bulldog. So it gets 40 more millimeters of penetration than the Bulldog does on its heat ammo. Now, that is the heat ammo, so it's going to be a lot more expensive, but if you need to pen those shells, this is where you're going to do it. I found that the 180 pen on the AP isn't reliable enough, considering you have to lead a lot. You might not be able to target weak points as easily. Alright, so that's enough of analyzing the Spähpanzer's stats, comparing it to the Bulldog. Let's take a look at how it plays out in some gameplay. Alright, so here we are on the new Overlord map, newish Overlord map, not in 9.9, but came out in 9.8 or 7. I forget, I took a long break from World of Tanks for a while, but anyway, I'm going to start off by heading to the E line in this tank. Hopefully I will be able to get some early shots in there. And I am using the single shotgun for this replay. The next replay, I'll be using the autoloader gun so you can see how that plays out as well. In general, on Overlord, I don't really think there's too many scouting positions that differ from the medium tank positions, but hopefully I'll be able to play this map some more and get a map review done eventually, and maybe I'll find some more tricky spots that I can use in my light tanks. So what I'm going to do is head over here, try to get some early shots on the 62A, and like I said in the garage, you're really only going to get 1 or 2 shots off onto enemies, because, you know, they'll leave, they'll move before you can get another shot. So you see I got 1 shot there on the 62A, and I'm just about to reload now. So the reload time kind of sucks, but I guess it's in a way good so you don't get yourself shot. And just as I say that, I'm going to do something very stupid. I saw the Batchat's outline, but I didn't think I could see him. And then I get myself shot twice. Really don't know what I was thinking there, but hey, at least I'm alive. So I decide that that flank is kind of dead. Well, not dead. I can't really do anything over there. I'm a one shot for both those tanks, so I'm going to move somewhere else and try to get some more shots. And you're going to see me throughout a majority of this game poking up, getting a shot out, backing off, rinse and repeat. So hopefully I'll be able to continue to do that for a while to get some damage done and some tanks killed. And that's really what a majority of this tank is going to be, I feel. I don't think it's going to be too much of a run up to the front lines aggressive scout. I think it's going to be more of a passive scout and sniping from afar, because it does have pretty okay pen and okay damage to justify that. Whereas the Bulldog kind of is more of a aggressive scout, I think. So you can either use that autoloader or just the 4-second reload time on the single shotgun to do some damage quick. Now I am going to flex over to this ridge to try to do some damage on these guys as they're attacking my team. I wanted to get a shot on the E100 there, but he pulled in front, and I go for the 113 instead. You saw there the 180 pen wasn't quite good enough to go through the side of the 113, but I'll try again if this 30B ever lets me get off of him. There we go. Alright, so now I'm into this bowl, and I'm going to try to go over here to get myself up on a little incline and try to get some side shots on these guys. I see the 50B plant one into him and reverse as quickly as I possibly can because he'll kill me instantly. And I use this 30B again, desperately trying to cling on to him so I can survive. And I believe that was his 4th shot, so I'm going to go out and try to finish him off, or at least get one more shot into him. Alright, so he's down to 42 HP. That was a kind of a lucky RNG roll there. It didn't fly straight, but I still killed him. So we see this 121 here, and I'm going to try to get some shots onto him from the side. I do manage to get one. I loaded heat because I thought I was going to be going up against the front of his tank. And I wanted to see how good this thing's gun depression was. I overestimated the gun depression a little bit, went too far over the hill, and got finished off. But, you know, overall, kind of passive for the first half, a little more aggressive towards the end, where I could put my gun to work. Alright, so here we are on Karelia, and this time we are using the autoloader. So what I'm going to do, being in a light tank, typical light tank position, I'm going to rush straight up to the hill. Now they do have a Spähpanzer themselves, and they also have a 121 and a 62A. I'm predicting that the 121 isn't going to rush the hill, as it's not too fast to get up to the hill quickly. It is a fast tank, but not compared to the SP1C or the 62A. But it doesn't look like the 62A is going to be up there either, because he's busy team killing their artillery. I guess the 121 is kind of fast. You don't see too many of them in battles. But anyway, I'm going to head straight up to the hill, and you're going to see just how much damage this little gun can do. And one of the other great things about the autoloader is it has 240 damage. But if you get hit by something with 240 damage, you're probably just going to shrug it off, because you know what? I'm in an E100, and 240 damage really isn't that much. But when you get hit with 240 damage 3 times, I believe that's, what, 780 or something? I just tried to do that in my head real fast. Don't quote me on that. But it's up there in the 700s, so 720 actually. So once you do that much damage, that's like a low roll for an Object 704 or a 268 and any of those big TDs. So really, it doesn't seem like a lot because you're getting hit for about 240 each time, but in reality it is. So I loaded heat for my first clips just to make sure I got some penetrations on the side of these tough tanks. I put my clip into the ST1 and then pull back up here. And you're going to see the 20-second reload, well, more like 18.5 second reload for me with my 100% crew and vents. It doesn't really feel that long. And I'm already reloaded back out before the ST1 even drove up all the way. I bounced my first heat shell. It looks like it goes more towards his mantlet than the side of his turret. But there, all of them are in. And that was about 480 damage, so, you know, that's a good hit. That's a nice roll for a 50B, or any other tier 10 really that has 400 average. Alright, so my third clip is almost in here. Let's try to get to work on the side of this E100's turret. Now, I wasn't so confident in penning the side of the E100's turret with AP. It might even be thicker than 180 millimeters. I'm not too sure. I have no interest in getting the E100, but I know my 250 penetration will go through just fine. Alright, my next clip is almost done loading, so I'm going to pull out and put some more shells into this E100. Now, while the E100 may not think that he got hit for a lot of damage, I probably did easily 1,000 to him already. So that's a good 1/3 of his health almost. Alright, so I'm just going to finish up reloading and pop out again. And just put some extra hurt onto these tier 10s. And I think that's what you can really do with the with this tank in the autoloader. Just pop out real quick, do 720 damage, pull back in, repeat. And 720 burst damage is pretty good for a tier 7 light autoloader. I did get a lucky penetration there on the E100, and he bounces heat off me, off my mantlet. I guess that does count as spaced armor, and heat ammo and spaced armor are not the best of friends, so that's probably why that happened, but Probably a super low penetration roll on his part too. Alright, I'm going to go back out again, try to get some shots into that little bar on the top of his tank. It isn't going to work out too well for me, but you know what, might as well try. Another thing that I noticed too is that it doesn't have a ton of ammo. I believe I started with 27 AP rounds and about 12 HE, or heat. So, it doesn't have the heftiest of ammo loadouts, but I think that's pretty okay unless you're in a super hard carry mode situation. You might run out of ammo. So once those guys are cleaned up, I'm going to use this E100 rec, try to get some shots on that little cupola on the Spähpanzer, or maybe even the Borsig. And this guy is pushing me into him. That's okay though. But I feel like with the autoloader you can be a little bit more aggressive because you have more burst damage to back up your aggressiveness. And I really think that's a strong part of the auto-loading gun for the Spähpanzer. Alright, so there were the two games. One game with the single shot gun and the other one with the autoloader. What I learned from playing about like 20 games in this tank is that the single shot gun is more towards the passive scout gameplay style. Sit back at the beginning, get off some shots, you know, do your share of damage, and at the end you can be a little more aggressive, go in and take those forward positions to try to take out the remainder of the enemies. Whereas with the auto-loading gun, you can afford to take more frontline and aggressive scouting positions at the beginning because you do have your alpha / burst damage to back you up. You know, 720 damage in the first shot doesn't take any time to fire. So in about 6 seconds for 720 damage, that's a pretty okay, I'm not quite sure of the word here, okay force to justify yourself to go ahead and take those frontline positions, do some damage, pull back a little bit, and then, you know, revisit that position to do some more burst damage. The Spähpanzer, you know, I kind of like it. I like the auto-loading gun more so than the single shot gun, just because I think it fits my playstyle a little more, but I think I definitely might be going for this tank. I think it's pretty fun. While it might not be super fast, it is still kind of zippy to get around and do some damage and have some good times in it, I think. So I definitely will be going for this tank. Not sure how high it is on my priority list, but I like this little tank. It kind of looks like a larger version of the Tier 2 British Premium, the Mark 6C or whatever it was. But anyways, guys, if you've enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe. I'll see you next time.